What's up? It's your boy Phil with the Fourth and
Whatever.
Podcast. All right, we really appreciate the feedback we got from the first episode, and this is episode 2. Before we get into anything, we want to give a big shout out to our first sponsor, Ansha. That means one nail, son, healed all.
Yes, sir. And next shout out we want to give that shout out to the moms. We missed it on Sunday, but happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, especially my mom.
Nah, my mama too, for real, bro.
Nah, for real. Okay. Happy Mother's Day to all moms. But with that being said, we're about to jump into episode 2. The topic for today is, what advice would you give a first-year coach?
Before I answer that, I gotta give a shout out to my wife too. I want to be in the doghouse, bro.
Nah.
All right, I don't want to be in the doghouse.
Didn't even put 2 and 2 together, but yes, you better make sure you give her a shout out.
Shout out to Christian. Hey, big shout out to Christian.
Hey, if you didn't do that, not even the doghouse, buddy, the dog pound.
I've been sleeping in this here garage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You would.
All right. So advice I give to a first-year coach. First and foremost, make sure you find a head coach that you really trust. That was the advice that I was given when I was in high school and talked to one of my coaches about wanting to be a coach. He said the first coach that you're under is going to really shape your worldview for coaching and a lot of times your work ethic when it comes to coaching.
For sure.
So I think it's very important to find a coach that has integrity, to find a coach that actually lives what he says, which that's integrity again.
Yeah.
But actually is passionate and willing to teach and bring people along.
Hey, that's big stuff right there.
Believe it or not, my first head coach, Coach Britton, bro.
Let's get it.
Yeah,
the
man.
B-man himself.
And I think that was intentional. I think it was a God thing because I was teaching elementary PE before I actually became a coach.
Yeah.
And I kept wanting to come back home. And it just didn't work out really as far as me getting back here until he took over. So he took over in 2018. I came on board, volunteered in 2019.
Okay.
And then got my position as a freshman coach initially in that 2020 school year.
Yeah.
In the COVID year.
Ooh.
Yeah, that mess was wild.
The COVID.
Hey, speaking of the COVID years, kind of off track, but did y'all have to put chairs out and all that whenever you were you coaching during that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the sideline during the COVID year, we had to have chairs that were 3 feet apart from each other. So this is how crazy it sounded in my head. Hey, when you're on the sideline, be 3 feet away from each other and have your mask on. But when you get on the field, take it off and go smash right into somebody's face.
Because COVID ain't out there, you feel me?
Yeah. COVID ain't on the football field. It's just on the sideline.
The gridiron is different, bro.
It's built different when you in the trenches.
Hey, what was funny to me was the kids sitting on the sideline. It was like everybody's in timeout. Hey, go sit in your chair when you come off the field, bro. And then when we had the team meetings, you got to put the chairs there. And so the coach got to kind of stand back, project his voice to this wide group, and then, hey, y'all go back to timeout.
Nah, hey, and I'm going to tell you, my favorite time during COVID was when the kids had to show up and you had to hit them with the temperature gun.
Yes, bro.
Buddy, hey, nothing was worse than the kids who had to walk to practice. They got shot with the hot temperature every single time. And it's like, hey, buddy, if you get shot one more time with a hot temp, I got to make you go home.
Yeah,
and,
bro.
hey, boys putting ice cubes on the forehead. Like, come on. And then,
bro, I promise I'm not sick.
Hey, and the best one was like, obviously you have that good relationship with some of those kids. You shoot them with a gun and you're like, and it says you're ugly.
Oh, that's cold-blooded. Yeah.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, we had the gauntlet. Boys coming in saying, hey, bro, I don't know, your temperature cool, but you not. You feel me?
Talk to him.
Your temperature low, but you not.
Talk to him.
But beyond having a good head coach, I think the best advice I can give a first-year head coach is don't be entitled. You cannot come in thinking that anybody owes you anything or thinking you're above doing what could be considered grunt work.
For sure.
It's your job to do that. And a lot of times, like, especially it seems like a lot lately, these younger coaches are coming in and they feel like they're above doing that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they wonder why the older coaches seem to be standoffish because from their perspective is, I put my time in, I grinded to get where I'm at, and the expectation is that you do the same. And that doesn't mean you can't be successful young or you can't move up fast young, but you doing that and showing that kind of work ethic a lot of times propels you a whole lot faster than coming in thinking you're above doing some kind of job.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that you hit some things right on the head with the hammer as far as, hey, don't put yourself in a position where if you think that you're better than what the job is, that's when everybody's looking at you like, well, what do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
Like this, I had to do this. And then, you think back to some of these older coaches, like us coaches now kind of have it made. Some of the older coaches that's been in the game, they had to stripe fields. Like
Yeah.
they're playing on grass field and they're out there like with spray paint and the field marker and actually putting those things down. And like our generation will look at that now and say, that's crazy. If I
Yeah.
got to do that, I ain't going there. But that just shows you the difference of like that generation and where we are now, where obviously people playing on turf fields. But I can actually say, even as a 30-year-old, I have striped a football field and it is awful.
Yeah. I thank God I ain't had to do that one, bro.
In the trenches, you're out there, hey, and nothing's worse than after they just cut the grass and you're trying to spray the paint down and the grass particles are getting on your forehead
Yeah.
and it's just awful all around.
Fun fact: when the fresh cut grass, I'm gonna be sick the next day.
Oh, allergies on 10,000.
Hey, it never fails, bro. I remember being in high school. I told my coach they had just cut the grass. We had track. It was all season. We had track workouts at the little at the what's now the junior high.
Yeah.
But the cement track.
Mhm.
I walked out. I said, Coach, I'm gonna have a horrible day. I said, I know we got to make these certain times. I'm not gonna make no times, but I promise you won't question my effort. I can't breathe already, so I just want to let you know before we get started where I'm kind of at right now.
Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I definitely would have looked at you and said, "Where's your inhaler?"
Oh, it was well documented that I couldn't breathe. Man, Halo wasn't gonna save nothing, bro. I need some Benadryl and a day off at this point.
Hey, the only thing that was gonna save you, buddy, was Jesus Christ Himself.
Hey, lay hands on me, Lord.
Hey, put them down, boy. Put them on
I
me.
need you to come right now, bro.
Hey, boy, throw that anointing oil right on that forehead.
Yeah, got to, bro. So what's your advice to a first year coach?
Yeah, so it's funny that we came with this topic because as I'm like scrolling through Twitter and just going through, because I'm a big Twitter junkie, there's a coach who posted something today and he said, young coaches, don't beat your watch home. And when I read that, I was like, wow, like this literally hits this topic right on the head.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're so quick to, man, I just want to go home. It's been a long day. The kids been crazy. They've been bad, X, Y, and Z. And so you're just ready to get away and get home.
Yeah.
But the best advice I can give a coach that's young and just getting started is understand if you're beating the kids out the door, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Because again, I know for myself, so speaking as a young coach 6 years ago when I first got started, there wasn't a meeting during the summertime when I first moved to Temple that I wasn't sitting in varsity meetings. I wasn't sitting with the varsity coaches, just trying to soak up everything that I needed. And this crazy part is, as a young coach, especially somebody who played college football growing up, when I got out, I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sitting in this like, they're not going to tell me nothing I don't know. Like my whole family, I mean, my grandpa, my dad, my mom, my 4 brothers, everybody coaches. So I'm like, I know the coaching world. I mean, you're not going to tell me something I don't know. And then after sitting in those meetings, I felt like a new baby deer. Like
Yeah.
I thought I knew everything, but I really know nothing.
Yeah.
And so the biggest advice that I can give them is be where your feet are. Because if you're so quick to want to make that jump, so quick to, hey, I gotta be a high school coach, I gotta be a varsity position coach, I gotta be this, I gotta be that. Well, that's when those opportunities pass you by because when they call your head coach, the first thing they'll say, what's his work ethic?
Yeah.
And if I can say, well, he beats the kids out the door on the way home, yeah, buddy, you're probably not gonna get hired.
Yeah. And people question your commitment when you're like that.
No
too.
doubt, no doubt. And like I said, I think that when you talk about where your feet are, that can be very hard sometimes,
Yeah.
because obviously, everybody's looking to grow in their profession. Everybody's looking to be in that next step, that next phase. And so, but sometimes being still is the best advice you can give yourself.
Yeah.
Because
without a
when
doubt.
you're being still, you finally get to kind of see the big picture of what you're looking at. And I think at times, young coaches are just so eager because they know what lies on the other side. But like the old saying goes from the old heads, the grass ain't always greener on that side.
It's not, bro.
So, and what someone said when they said that is the grass is always greener where you water it. So if
Yeah.
your feet are here, water where you're at, and then let those seeds from the grass go other places, and then you can see the fruits of your labor there. And then when you finally get there, you water that grass now.
Yeah.
Because if you're so worried about that grass over there, you kind of lose sight of the grass you're on right now.
That's right in front of you. And so we want to make sure one of the things we're not saying is that you don't go home to your family and spend time with your kids and with your wife. That's very important. We're definitely fortunate that we have a head coach that lets us do that.
Absolutely.
Um, I can't say like last year with both boys playing Little League football for the first time. Saturday mornings, there's a lot of times that I was going to their games
Yeah.
and it was not an issue. But when you're at the building, when you're at work, you got to be there. One thing I have learned is, as far as like not being the first one out each day, what happens is a lot of times you'll catch those kids that may having a hard day, and
Mhm.
you can have a conversation with them that you would have missed out on
Yes,
had you
sir.
just bolted out the door.
Yes, sir.
Because high school kids, as we know, a lot of times they're gonna wear it on their face instead of just tell you straight up, and so you get to have that conversation. And then now you just built that relationship with that kid that comes back tomorrow. He had a rough day that day, comes back tomorrow and try to run through a wall for you.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think that you are spot on. What you said is again, we're not talking about don't go see your family. What we are saying though is be intentional when you're there at work, and I think that that's huge because again, I know when you're a young coach, you're a new coach, you're very much like very eager. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, I want to do this.
Yeah,
And then as those years kind of start stacking, and let's say you're in the same position, it's like okay, well, we have new younger coaches, so
yeah,
those coaches should do that. But I'll tell you this, something that I love, and there's something that Coach Britton does, not all the time, but if it needs to be done, he'll get it done. When your head coach is okay with doing laundry,
yeah,
you better be okay with doing laundry. And I think that's huge because when you get to see, again, when he gets to be the example of what our foundation is as a team, what we do as a collective whole, that should let you know that nobody, not one coach, is bigger than the program.
yeah. And I always catch them picking up trash. And I'm like, so now I be like, ain't no way I'm gonna walk by and not pick that up, bro.
Hey, you better get it. You better get it. And again, I mean, I think Coach Britton just gives us a great representation of what a good leader looks like,
Yeah,
and it's super beneficial because now, like when you're going looking other places, you kind of not that you intend to compare those things, but
yeah,
you just naturally do those things because you know you're looking at your head coach and it's very organized, well
yeah,
mannered, doesn't care to go and do the lowest thing on the pole because he understands he's going to do what's best for the team and
yeah,
not what's best for him. And so I think it just when you start seeing those things, when you start looking other places, those are things you got to be aware of because if you get with a coach who's very egotistical,
yeah,
or they're very much like, no, you need to do that because I don't do that. Well, that's probably not a place you want to be at.
yeah, without a doubt. As far as like, I like going to coaching school and watching the other staffs interact. I feel like it makes it so evident which staffs are actually cool and like each other, which staffs like they're cordial, and then the staffs where you can tell like y'all don't rock with each other at all, bruh.
And it's so awkward every time you see it. And I think it's more funny because when we go to coaching school, we literally like go in droves.
Yeah,
Like when we go, we're usually going everywhere together. And
yeah,
it's so funny. So, you know, when we go to coaching school, and even when we look at another staff who used to be in our district in Fulshire, like
yeah,
you look at our two staffs and they're not at Fulshire anymore. They're now at Klein
yeah,
High, which shout out to Kadudi and Klein High.
yeah. They're gonna do some big things
Yeah,
over there.
yes, for sure. And Coach Morton and all those fellas over there. But when you look at these two staffs, like both staffs always look like they're having so much fun.
Yeah,
And you know, and I tell people all the time when we go in scout teams, those are some of the best memories I make with the coaching staff
yeah,
because we go, we're not like we're working, but we're not like worried about trying to win a game like right at that moment.
yeah,
And we're just cutting up and being loose and having a good time. And then the same thing for Kadudi and his staff. You know, you look at them and it's like, you know, he does the popcorn reviews and
yeah,
all those things. And when you're looking at those things, you're like, that looks like a staff that one, not only loves each other, but two, know how to have a good time and just enjoy the simple sport of football and enjoy it. And so I think again, when you find a head coach that's like that,
hmm,
those are the people you want to stick to. You got to stick to that person like glue because
yeah,
again, he's a good coach. And so people are coming knocking on the door and you want to be a part of that transition if he ever transitioned.
yeah,
So with that being said, is you want to make sure as a young coach that whenever that head coach decides to leave and take a head job and you like him, you love him, you want to be a part of his staff as long as he's a head coach, you better be somebody who did something in that
worthwhile.
time
Yeah,
where you were with him.
yeah,
Because if you aren't doing anything, you're not coming with me. I'm
Nah.
trying to build a super staff, and you're just dead weight.
Yeah. Might be happy to get away from you. That'd be a tough pill to swallow.
No, yeah, I mean, it'd be really tough, when you're looking at, like, what that all looks like, and, he's taking 9 coaches, and he has
Yeah.
12 spots, and you're not one of those 9. It's like, "Okay, well, what did I not do?"
Yeah.
So, I think that's huge, and then now to piggyback off of kind of all of that, just to go back over kinda things that young coaches need to know, and it's something that I learned from my last OC at my last school. His name was Coach Taylor. Is you have to be able to marry your philosophy with their philosophy,
Yeah.
because I think that when your philosophies aren't married together, now you're going to be headbutting each other on, well, I think it should be like this, and it's, well, that's the head coach, so
That's how it's gonna be.
no doubt, that's how it's gonna be. So it's, if you can't be cordial and at least try to hear each other's side out, that can be very difficult.
Yeah. I hate seeing people butt heads over a lot of times it be stuff that's trivial. It's just a way you see something a little bit different.
Exactly, and
And when you take the time to actually embrace the philosophy of your head coach, and then you share what, oh, okay, where I was, or my thoughts on this is that. A lot of times, we can either meet in the middle, or you actually understand. Okay, so you don't like this because X, Y, and Z. Can't say you got. Let me go back real quick. You talking about you come from a family of coaches. I was the kid in my family that wanted to be a coach, and I ain't seen a coach that in close proximity like that. So for me, a lot like when I got into coaching in 2019, it was like, man, same way you said, I thought I knew a lot about football, but this is like a whole different world as far as how to not just understand the game, but I'm gonna understand it in the correct terms. And now I gotta go tell these kids that are in high school that they barely know what 20 personnel is.
no, for real.
I gotta tell them in a way that makes sense to them, so they can actually function and do it on the field. Because it don't matter how much I learn or how much I know if I can't get my player to do it, it don't matter. And I feel like for young coaches, a lot of times that are very knowledgeable, you come in where I got all this knowledge, but if you have no way to actually share that with the kids to where they actually can perform, that knowledge means nothing.
Nothing. It's useless.
Yeah,
It's useless if they can't perform with the knowledge that you have. And like you said, is I think that what's really cool about this podcast, and my dad was talking about last night when he called me, is he talked about it's really cool because me and you come from very different backgrounds.
yeah,
I come from a split family home. You come from a 2-parent home.
yeah,
I come from a coaching background. You're the only coach in your background.
yeah,
And so what I think that does is it's cool because we get to kind of see different perspectives, but then kind of see how they both merge into the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Is I think you're a hell of a coach. And so and I think that just being around people like Coach Britton and Coach Gardner and those
yeah,
people where you can grow your knowledge of the game, that's helped you tremendously.
yeah,
And I was able to get that kind of firsthand, like with my family being coaches, but I also think that being able to fall back on people who aren't family, because people who aren't family, when you are really close, like you and I are, like we can be real with each other.
yeah.
There's sometimes coaches don't want to hurt people's feelings, and then you have best friends who are like, nah, buddy, you're wrong.
Yeah, I think that's the funniest thing. I love when the kids are like, I don't even understand how y'all are like that cool because y'all are so opposite. I'm like, honestly, it's because we're real with each other. Like it ain't no if I'm wrong or if I'm tripping, he gonna tell me I'm tripping,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So I mean, that's a big thing, and I appreciate it. I think you a dope coach too, my boy.
That's why I fool with you. That's why I fool with you. But it's funny you say that too, because like you said, as the kids will ask me the same thing, like, dude, how are you and Coach Evans so cool? And I say, well, because he balances my craziness.
Yeah,
And then like we balance each other out because we already know Coach Evans, rarely are you gonna yell at somebody. I
yeah,
mean, and if you yell, I know you're at that breaking point. Rarely.
yeah,
Me, buddy, my head is gonna explode. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because, and again, what's funny about it is just because you coach the way you do and the way I coach are totally different, doesn't mean we're not both passionate.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I think that we can both coach the ways we coach because we understand the kids we have.
yeah,
So to tie this back to the question, what advice would you give a first year coach? One, be intentional. If you're intentional, you can go a long ways.
yeah,
Two, make sure you understand what your coach wants from you. Your head coach. You got
yeah,
to understand what he wants from you. If you don't know what he wants from you, you can't be successful. And three, do not beat your watch home.
Yeah.
Don't beat it home. Again, going back to number one, be intentional about your time up there because again, the kids see it.
Yeah,
And
they
you know
do.
that firsthand with having kids
Yep.
is your kids are watching all the time. So when you're just kind of going through the motions and trying to get a paycheck, they're gonna see that and they're gonna see right through you.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anybody that's gonna call you out more than your own kids, because mine
Hey,
do. Um, specific story I got is one with cleaning my sink and my son making my son clean his sink. I was on his case nonstop about cleaning this sink because he wasn't getting it done. I was getting frustrated, and so I said, "Hey, we're gonna make a deal. If my sink's not clean, you tell me about it. When your sink's not clean, I'll tell you about it."
oh boy.
And he definitely took every opportunity to be like, "Hey, your sink is dirty. You need to get that cleaned up right now." I'm like,
Right
"That's the bet."
now.
Because whenever I ask him to do something, I'm not really worried about what he's trying to do. So a lot of times, as parents, where, "Hey, I asked you to do that. I need it done right now," and that's probably not the most considerate thing, but that's real life.
Yeah.
So when he told me, I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna get on that right now." And I had to model, not getting in my feelings about it, not being jaded because he called me out, but actually like, okay, I expect this of him, then I got to do the same and lead the same way I'm asking him to do, or follow the same way I'm asking him when I'm telling him something.
Absolutely. And again, like you said, is going back to when you're looking for that first head coach that you want to be under, somebody who models what they say. Going back to Coach Britton when talking
Yeah,
about him doing laundry or picking up trash. Again, that's just him modeling what he expects from players, what he expects from his own coaches.
yeah,
And so I think that, like you said, is being able to find somebody like that is a gem,
yeah,
and it
without a
makes it
doubt.
very, very tough to want to leave or want to go somewhere else because again, with just human nature, you're going to compare.
Yeah,
That's just what we do as humans. And so you're trying to find somebody who can model that same like look, that same outlook because again, you know what it's supposed to look like
yeah,
and you're not willing to settle for anything else.
without a doubt. I think the last thing I would say, just think about the contrast of me and you as people, as a coach, be yourself, bruh. I seen too many times somebody that's not a yeller try to be a consistent yeller, and the kids looking at him like, "Bro, you fraud. Like you're this is not who you
Yes.
actually are."
Yes.
And in the same way, a coach that's typically calm, when he says the same thing that somebody that is a true yeller says, but they say it calm and direct with eye contact, it carries the same weight. And the kids shift and they change what they're doing the same way because you're being authentic. And so
Mhm.
as a coach, you have to be authentically who you are and not try to be something you're not.
Yes, for sure. And I think that again, I mean, you hit it again right on the head as far as be you.
Yeah.
Because again, as much as we don't like to admit it, kids are smart. And
Yeah.
it's not always in the same way, but kids are smart and they can see when you're BSing them.
Without a
You
doubt.
know what I'm saying? And so when you're not being authentic with them, they're just again looking at you like, "What are you doing? This isn't you." And then if you're a kid, if you're a coach that they don't know and you just showed up and you're trying to pretend to be the yeller, to be the macho man,
Yeah.
kids don't respect that because again, they know you, they see right through you, and
Yeah.
then they're just gonna look at you like you're crazy. So, I mean, I think that was a really good point is just be you because I think that once you're you, the kids get to meet the real you,
Yeah.
then they will respect the real you. And that's, I mean, that's perfect for really our two personalities. I
Yeah.
mean, you're not a yeller. You're a very calm, collected coach, and you just speak direct. And so the kids really understand when you're coaching them. Me on the flip side, I'm polar opposite.
Yeah.
I'm a yeller. I mean, there's times on Friday nights where like I'm damn near about to pass out. Like I'm seeing stars because I'm yelling so hard at somebody. But again, my kids would not expect anything different from me. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? If I start standing there saying, okay, now Johnny, why are you doing that now? They're gonna look at me like I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
Like, who are you and what did you do with coach?
Yeah. They go, "Hey, what's wrong with you today, bro?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're gonna question me about what are you doing. But if they know I'm gonna get into their tail when they miss a block or when they do something that they're not supposed to do, they know that's me. I'm me no matter what. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like that when I coached basketball. I was like that when I coached soccer. I mean, hell, I didn't even know much about soccer, but I got out there and I coached it with the best of them. And
Hey, I feel that. That was me coaching basketball, bro. I coach basketball the same way in a sense that my demeanor don't shift too much with my kids. But I ain't know much about basketball, especially not enough to be coaching like that, bro. I remember the first time my homeboy, he was on the staff too, and he's like, the other team scored 10 points. I'm like, he's at the scorer's table, and I'm like, bro, they killing us. He's like, yeah, call a timeout. They're on a run. That's like, that's what a run is. So I called a timeout, bro. I'm so unprepared, bro. I called a timeout, and the kids come over there, and they're like looking at me. I'm like, oh, I ain't got much to say. Look, hey, y'all gotta get back on defense, bro. Y'all gotta get back on defense. They scored 10 straight, bro. I do know they scored 10 straight, but I need you to lock back in. So I'm giving you a timeout so you can refocus. Like, oh, okay. But that whole season, it's our current senior class right now. That whole season, when I talked to them about that year, they like, you didn't teach us much about basketball, but I don't think I ever got better coaching on how to be a teammate. Used to make us run for being bad teammates. That was like the theme of our practices. If somebody's doing something that takes away from the team, or I remember the big thing I used to do, if you did something, like let's say you shot and sprayed somebody, hit it in their face or whatever. If you taunted, even at practice, if you taunted the person you scored on, everybody got to run. Now you're allowed to celebrate, but you got to immediately turn and find one of your teammates, and you could do whatever with your teammates. Like we turned up. Hey, we going crazy. That's cool. But if you do something, let's say that you're on the other team and I did something, I'm like doing something that's over the top. It's one thing to make a shot. I'm like, settle, stare down, get back. If you do something that's hella extra, yeah, bro. Hey, on the baseline.
I'm on your head, buddy.
You feel me?
Hey, it's so funny you say that. So the funny story I have in my first soccer game I ever coached, because remember, to this point, I've never played soccer, ever. I've been coaching it for 5 years. I've never played it. So my very first soccer game I'm ever coaching in, I legit thought that in soccer, we rotate our people like they do in hockey. Like I thought that like one just runs off, one runs on. I didn't know that like, hey, stand at the middle, let's check them in, and then let's go. No. I thought like, hey, it's just a running gun. So you know me, hey, you know we were hella confused when that person, we got a turnover and my guy run off the sideline onto the field, like kick it deep. And yeah, I learned the hard way that that's not how soccer is played. But with all that being said, if you have any more questions about being a first-time coach, reach out on the TikTok, which is fourth.and.whatever. That's a new TikTok we've started. But we're about to jump into this next topic.
All right, the next topic is, what is something that school did not prepare you for?
Boy, I got a slew of things.
You and me both.
I have things, I could probably write a novel over the things that school did not teach me, but I'm not going to put them on blast like that.
All right, let them live.
I'm not going to put all their dirty laundry out there like that, but I'm going to tell you the one that really, really put me over the top. And at this point in my life, it really hindered me. So when I'm in school, I graduate, I go to college, right? Yeah. I'm thinking, hey, parents, this is something you want to make sure you're listening to, because I did not know this before. And I'm going to give you a little nugget because I was not taught this in school. So you go and you apply for FAFSA, so we're just going to use hypothetical numbers. So I apply for FAFSA. They're telling me you're going to get X, Y, and Z for your schooling. Cool. So let's just say the tuition for that semester is $20,000.
Yeah.
All good. $20,000 to go to school for one semester. Well, when you apply for FAFSA, they're going to give you a lot of money, because you're going to apply to all these scholarships, all these grants, all these loans, X, Y, and Z. So then let's say that FAFSA or financial aid, they give you $35,000 for that semester.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, hey, bet I'm 15,000 plus right now.
Yeah, you thought you were up.
Yes, because the 20,000 my school's paid for, and the 15,000 the financial aid office is going to cut you a $15,000 check. So when you're 18 years old and you have $15,000, you do stupid shit with that.
Without a doubt.
You're going to go and spend that money however you please. You don't care about it. I'm just going to spend it.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I'm the richest man in the world. I got $15K. If I didn't want to go buy a gold chain, I'm going to go get it for $13,000. Why? Because I got the money. So let's just keep saying, let's say that after 2 years, you go to school for one semester, 1 year. And so now 20,000 first semester, 20,000 second semester, they've given you the same amount of money. So now you have $30,000 after 1 year. Let's say you didn't spend anything at the semester break. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the year, you have your plus 30,000 for the extra 15 from the first semester
Yeah.
and the extra 15 from the second semester. With that money, again, you feel really good. Well, what they don't tell you is that if you go to school for 4 years there and they give you that same allotted money every year, when it's time for student loans to be paid back,
Yeah. Run me that.
I want that 30,000 from every single year.
Yeah.
So now you're sitting at $120,000 in student loan debt, and that is just from the cut checks that they gave you.
Yeah.
We haven't even factored in the 40,000 from the 20,000 just to go to school.
Yep.
So now you're looking at 40,000 times 4 years, you're 160,000 in debt right there.
Yeah.
You add those two numbers together, you're sitting at $280,000 that you're in debt.
Yeah.
They did not teach me that when I was in school because
Nice.
when I was in college, going through college, man, I thought I was up. Man, I had so much money. Nobody could tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Right now, there ain't no telling where those dollar bills are. Lost them all. All the coins gone.
Hey, I was right there with you. So like for me, I went to college. I'm the baby of my family.
Okay.
And they don't explain this to you either. That your family, like your parents, your brothers, they can only take out so much loans for school.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm the baby of 3, of 4 really, but of 3
Okay.
for this scenario. I get to school, my parents are already, it's on you, Papa. We did all we could for the other 2, you know.
Hey.
It's on you. So I get there and I'm trying to get my stuff set up. I'm like, it's cool. I'll put it on my name. I started working at the college before I started going to the college. So school started in September.
Yeah.
I was working on campus in August.
Okay.
So I had a certain amount that I got my refund, but my refund wasn't looking pretty, right?
Yeah.
And luckily I got my older brothers who they've been in the same situation. They kind of gave me the game on how you're supposed to navigate it.
Yeah.
But when I say I made my little refund check stretch, I mean, I had my Cougar Cash at U of H. That mess was gone about 2 months in, and then I had what's left over. I had to pay for all my stuff out of pocket. But I don't feel like we do a good job in school. We keep telling you, we push college, especially back in the day. Now they kind of get into CCE and have these kids have different pathways. But back then, it was college, and they're not really explaining that you might not be able to afford that, and it might make way more sense to go to a community college, go to trade school, or do something that you can do that's not going to put you behind the 8 ball once you finally graduate. And then I got friends that didn't finish school, they got debt, and now you taking 2 L's basically. I got debt and I didn't get a degree.
Tough.
That's a hard life, bro.
Hey man, that's super hard. And again, I think that what you said is spot on with it's crazy how different school has taken things, because like you said, when I was in school, it was the same way. It was, you got to go to college. You're going to be a burger flipper at McDonald's.
They were on McDonald's head for no reason.
Hey, I'm going to tell you now, they were the biggest advocate for McDonald's that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you now, I don't know why McDonald's ever pay for commercials. Just tell teachers to tell me I'm going to flip burgers at McDonald's if I don't get a degree.
Got a fallback plan.
But I'm out here smelling like hot grease and French fries.
But you got apple pies though.
That boy said the apple pies. But it's just crazy how times have changed, and how, like you said, is everything was college. You're gonna be worthless if you don't have a degree, this and that. And then now, like, here at our school, you look at what the kids can do, and it's unreal.
Yeah.
If you want to go vet tech, we got that. If you want to go cosmetology or barbering, we got that. If you want to go military, we got that. If you want to go coding and computer science, we got that. If you want to go culinary, we have so much for these kids to be able to do at their fingertips. And like you said, is instead of taking that L and being back in student loan debt, let me go start making money like right now.
Yep.
And so like where we're at is like, that's why you see a lot of kids going into the plant, because they don't care about going to school because they know that they can go and pretty much make 6 figures right out of high school.
Yep.
Now, what an 18-year-old kid needed 6 figures for, that's beyond me, and I ain't never seen it. But with all that being said, I think that school nowadays prepare you a lot more for what the real world looks like.
Which is wild because a lot of times we complain about the schools and what they're not getting. And I know with AI, it feels like the kids ain't learning. But a lot of times what's happening is I'm seeing, and I know this is not a case for everything, but a lot of kids, the ones that know they're not gonna go to college, I'm gonna do whatever I can to pass this core credit, get my core credits, and then all I really care about is my CTE classes.
Yeah.
I'm locked in. I'm focused on my
Mhm.
CTE classes because this is what I actually want to do.
Yep.
And
And
so
so
they
that
give their time, their attention to that. And then if they can skate by another class, I mean, they're 15, 16, 17, they're kids. They're gonna do that, you know?
yeah, and I think you're right there as far as I mean, we know kids now who do core classes just because they have to.
Yeah.
But then, you start looking at report cards and it's like, buddy, you are struggling in core, but boy, can you cook a nice ass pie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And again, there is nothing wrong with that. Like, if your dream is to be in culinary, go be great at it.
Yeah.
If your dream is to be the best vet tech there is, go be great at it. And I think that that's what I enjoy about schools now because it's not so heavy on you got to go to college or you're going to be a nothing in this world.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the world's evolved so much since we were in school.
Without a doubt.
I mean, my school didn't even have a CTE program. I think we maybe had welding and we had like ag, like animal
Yeah.
stuff. Outside of that, it was very plain Jane, simple stuff.
Yeah, they had ag, they had welding, they had I guess wood shop. And then beyond that, I don't know much else they had. Like it wasn't really too many things you can go get a trade for at the school. Which so being in Angleton still and seeing what it's blown up into is wild.
Hey, we're winning. We're
Yeah.
winning if that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that I feel like school did not prepare us for is how to handle like tax rates
Yeah.
and like interest rates on houses and things like that.
Yeah.
Because right now, I'll be honest with you, when I'm starting to look at, hey, this house is a 4.0, and you got some people who are like, that's really good. And then you got other people that are like, man, I'm like at a 2.3, and they're like, that's even better. And then,
Yeah.
and then you got some people who are sitting at like a 4.7 and like for where they live at, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the school did a really poor job of teaching and still teaching
Yeah.
the younger generation about interest rates on houses or cars or anything that has rates.
Yeah.
But I still believe that things like that is the biggest scam ever. I mean, there's no reason to have all that stuff. The biggest scams in this world, hear me when I say this, listeners, interest rates and insurance. Both of those things are the most worthless things in this world.
I'll push back on the insurance only because I seen boys have the insurance that they can pull from and put money into, and that actually set them up. But again, we ain't taught that.
At all.
So
I don't even know what you're talking about right now. I ain't never even heard that. What you're talking about, I've never even heard about.
hey, the game's out there, but we live in a capitalist society, and so this is just my opinion. The way capitalism works, I know this information, and that's cool for me. If I can get ahead with it, I am not obligated to tell you that information. If that means that I come up and you do not, that doesn't make me a bad person in this setting. But I do believe, and this may be political, and I know we try to steer away from that. I think we're taught in a lot of ways to be more socialist minded and think I got to look out for everybody, I got to take care of everybody, and that's not the world we live in.
No, not at all. We live in a very centrical focused world
Yeah.
where like yes, I got to worry about everybody, but at the same time if I can get up by myself, I'm going to get up by myself.
Yeah, think about if you teach your kid to be a capitalist in kindergarten. Hey, little Johnny I got 4 toys. Cool. Brought him to school because I want to play with them. My boy Bobby comes through and he wants to play with my toys too. Bro, you just can play with them. Just give me $5 each day.
Yeah.
That'd be outlandish for a little kid to do that to somebody. But that's capitalism. Ain't nothing wrong with it. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah. I mean, it's a reason why whenever you use a credit card or you buy something from example, Best Buy, and they say, hey, you got 1 year to pay this off, or we're gonna have to hit you with that extra
Yeah.
one on the side. And so what happens? You don't pay it off in a year, and it's hey, you gonna owe me $20 this month. Okay, next month you gonna owe me 40, and just like that, boom, you're back at the same number you were at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I just think that the world, not necessarily the world, I don't think that schools do a great job of just teaching, when it all comes down to it, finances.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you take your basic math classes, but just how to live in a world that, like, we want to say money's not everything, and money isn't necessarily always happiness, but to live in our world, you got to have money.
You gotta have
I
it.
mean, it's virtually impossible because, again, we talk about this all the time as coaches. Inflation is going up, that money ain't moving.
At all.
You know what I'm saying? What 10 years ago, what $50,000 looked like for a household? I mean, you're probably living really lavish.
Yeah.
50,000 now, you're barely even in a 2-1 apartment and paying rent on that and getting groceries and getting gas. And let's not even count if you got kids.
Yeah, you strapped, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult. You know, and they want to keep saying, oh, the poverty line's here. Hey, that poverty line got to move.
That mother look like it's in the backyard, bro.
No, yeah. That boy said the poverty line sit in the backyard. It's sitting in the backyard. But go ahead.
I will say, just pivoting, I think the one thing that, and I think you're going to feel this, the thing I think school don't teach kids directly is how to handle conflict. And I say that because I was an elementary PE teacher.
Me too.
And I structured my class based on how to handle conflict.
Me too.
And so a lot of times when the other teachers come in or the admin comes in, like, why are the kids just sitting here like this? Because we are modeling how to deal with conflict today. This just happened. This is a scenario I've seen happen in this class multiple times. So in my gym, this happens. I have no problem saying, hey, y'all got to pause for a second. This is going on. We're going to deal with it like this. Everybody learns from it. The kids, they're not jaded because everybody says if you put these kids in these settings where they feel like they're singled out, quote unquote, they're going to be upset. Nope, because the kids all knew that it wasn't a personal thing that I'm having everybody watch this conflict and let's resolve it.
Yeah.
And we're talking through it together. It was one of the things where, I've seen him do it with somebody else and they learned and then we didn't have the problem again. You could take something as simple as being hard-headed. I had a cafeteria gym. You know what a cafeteria gym is, right?
It's awful.
Yeah, bro.
Awful.
Got a cafeteria with the tables on the side. Got a gym with some lines on the floor. Got an auditorium with the stage and steps. And my steps were carpeted, okay? Told my kids, don't run on the steps, all right? If you trip and fall, you're going to have a bad time. Sure enough, I'm standing on the steps. This little girl runs by. We just had this talk at the beginning of class. She misses the first step. Her speed did not slow down.
Kabow.
So she slides, and all the skin on her shin is immediately gone as she slides, and she stops right at my feet. And I was like, and this is why we don't run on the steps, okay? I get that you wanted to do that, and it felt like it was a fun thing, but as soon as you miss this step, you realize how unfun it was. And now I recognize that, hey, Coach Evans was looking out for my good. He was saying to make this rule so that we all could have fun. In the same way, you got kids arguing and fighting at recess, and then you got the little clicked up boys about fourth grade. You know how they get in fourth grade.
Oh yeah. I'm too cool for school now.
Buddy's over here feeling like the man. They were being disrespectful to each other. And I'm like, hey, pull the whole group aside, talking to him. And Buddy looks over his shoulder and like gives his boys a head nod. And then he turns around and I said, hey, what comes next? You're gonna be the only one to go through it. So them are your boys, right? But when you miss out and you're sitting out, remember that head nod you just did. You're all alone in it. Guess which kid never did nothing else with the group again?
That kid.
He was cool with them, but when it was time to chill out, hey, he was the first one like, hey, y'all, we gotta chill. We gotta stop.
Hey, we chill like the other side of the pillow.
Just like that.
I love that you had rules that your kids would break and then get hurt, and then you look at them like, I told you so.
Yeah.
So this was my number one rule. So in mine, so obviously being a elementary PE teacher as well, we had the rubber floor.
Yeah.
So not like the gym basketball court floor, but the rubber floor. So it was like one of those floors that, like, if you wore flip-flops, which they knew not to, but obviously, you know, I have my little girls who want to dress up and be all pretty, whatever. Okay, just make sure you bring shoes to play around. So, you know, in the flip-flops, like, you can be real slidey on the gym floor. But when you're in, like, basketball shoes, it's, like, really catching.
Yeah, abrupt stops.
Yes. So I told the kids, listen, because I made them they had to run around the gym, and then they had to come down where their line was and sit down.
Yeah.
But in my fourth grade class, the group that we just talked about, I always said, "Hey, so and so, please do not," because he was the front of the line. So,
Yeah.
and he was the fastest kid, so he always got around the gym really quick, so he could make sure he got to the front. But every time he was about right after half court, he wants to slide
Yeah.
to his seat.
Hate to see it.
And so I told him, I said, "Hey, please do not slide, man. Like, you're gonna get hurt by doing this." About second semester, I'm standing in the hallway waiting. Hey, go get that lap around the gym. I walk in. He's coming down. He doesn't even know I'm there now.
Yeah.
He's coming down. My boy starts to slide, snaps his entire tibia.
Sheesh.
I'm talking about not just like, oh, his legs broke. I mean, like, compound out of the skin broke. And I'm like, and so now he's sitting there in shock, like eyes wide. He's about to pass out. And in that moment right there, if I was not the mature human being that I am, I would have looked him dead in the face and said, "I told you so."
Yeah.
But I didn't. I got down there where he was at, told him it was going to be okay. I had to get his legs straightened out because of how it was structured.
Yeah.
Got all the kids, because at that point, the kids are losing their mind. I mean,
As they should be.
Again, his tibia compound out of his leg.
They have trauma now.
You're not wrong. So I had to get all those kids out of the gym. The ambulance shows up. We got obviously your elementary PE, so you're like going to the closet that's like a jungle gym
Yeah.
to find something to stabilize this leg, because obviously it's falling around like a limp noodle.
Yeah.
And so again, he is like, at this point, he ain't even talking. He's just like in pure shock. And so after that, I had to sit down, like, okay, next day, everybody in the gym, hey,
Yeah.
sit down, Indian style, put the bubble in your mouth, get in close. And then it's a real talk when you're the teacher and you pull the chair out and sit it down in front of like the audience.
Oh yeah, and PE. Oh,
They already knew what it was.
wrong, bro.
They already knew what it was when the chair came out, and there was no such things as lines at this point. It was y'all come here and sit down. They knew this was the father figure talk of. This is why we do not slide on this gym floor. In my years after that, no kid ever slid.
Not one.
Because I made sure on the first day of school to let every kid know I had a kid with a compound fracture in this gym from sliding. Please do not do this.
Yeah.
So he had to learn that the hard way. But again, he did learn it. And when he got back, and he was in the wheelchair, and obviously all the kids think he's cool now because he's in the wheelchair. Let me sign your cast, the whole 9 yards. But going back to what the topic was, is I think that in the school setting, I just think that we have to do a better job with finances. And it should not have to, like, I should not have to like specialize in like an accounting class to be able to learn those things, because again, not every kid wants to learn about finance. But I think it is our society's job, or our school system's place, to be able to teach our kids about those things. Because again, if we don't know, then we're walking into a world, into unknowns. And like I just talked about, kids going out to the plant and working and making six figures. Well, yeah, they want to buy a house. Well, then what happens when that plant shuts down and you're not making six figures no more? Can you still afford that house?
Yeah.
Or that truck? That's where it gets really difficult.
Without a doubt. And same way, as far as the conflict goes, I just think, because we these kids now, they grow up in front of screens.
Yeah.
So they don't have to deal with conflict as much as you would expect them to, in a sense. And so I think just finding a way in schools, especially with PE, because at the end of the day, I love PE. I vouch for PE. I think it does have an opportunity to teach people critical life skills as far as how to stay healthy and whatnot. But if you ask the majority of people what they remember from PE, they're going to say the parachute.
Oh, no doubt.
And so
throw the parachute up, everybody get underneath.
Yep.
And we're in a space globe.
Yeah. Hey. And the kid that always wants to run over when it's not their turn drives me insane, bro.
The best game, this is the last thing I'll say before I wrap this episode up. The best game I ever played with the parachute, you throw it up. So you got to do it in like segments because you can't have all the kids there.
Yeah.
You throw it up, you pin it down, you get underneath, but then you put like socks and you roll them up together during the Christmas break, a snowball fight under the parachute. So one class is pinning it, and then two classes are underneath in a snowball fight. So you put one class in pennies, the other class is in their normal school clothes.
Yeah.
And you're having a snowball fight underneath the parachute. I'm telling you,
That
That
sounds fire.
game right there will set the entire Christmas spirit up.
Hey, that's why everybody remembers the parachute because games like that, bro.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
But just making sure if we're intentional, knowing that what we know now as adults when it comes to what we remember from PE. My kids from my school, I have no doubt that they remember us doing conflict resolution throughout their entire 5 years, really, like kindergarten through fourth grade. Their 5 years with me, they remembered how to resolve conflict, especially in group settings.
Yes, for sure. And I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I think that again, that situation will last forever for those kids.
Without a doubt.
But to wrap it all up, baby, again, thank you, Coach Evans, for the talk, man. It's always fun being able to just talk about random stuff with you, and obviously being able to talk about what we need for first-year coaches coming in. But with that, just know, get ready for episode 3. It's going to be a banger.
That's it for fourth and
whatever.